Hi, and welcome back to the next episode of my playthrough of Bora Bora. Of course, I made a small mistake in the last video. It was not huge, but still, you could call it a little bit of cheating, again, against the red player in this case. What happened? When he built this building here on this ceremony space during the phase B of the I think it was already in turn 2, I gave him only one bonus for the fire bonus in this case. Of course, there's already also a second bonus, and this is either a shell or you could advance on the status track. The problem is, if I would have advanced on the status track, then the red player would be in the lead for turn 3, and this was other way around, so green was still in the lead. This is something I cannot take back. It really doesn't make sense, and yeah, I apologize for that and to the red player, but yeah, something I cannot change. But of course, I still can grant him the second bonus or the second option in that bonus, and this would be the shell. So I will give the red player a shell here, so he's now up to 3 shells, and at least he can do some shopping later on in phase C. But now in this fourth turn, we're in the fourth turn, red is the starting player, and I think let's bring it on. So then let's roll our dice here. Wow, that's also weak. I think especially for the green player. Now let's see what we can do about that. So let's give the red dice to the red player, green to green, and let's switch over to the red player's first action. So for the first action, red will do an expand action and using his highest die, meaning the number 5. And with that he will move over here because he needs to go for this fish type here, but still he could claim 1 sand from the reserve, and we will place the sand, I think, over here on this spot. Unfortunately, red does not have any red god, so he cannot score the fish for this expand action, but yeah, that's not that bad. And now let's see what green will do. For his first action, green will go for an helper action, and that's why he needs to go for a god card. That's definitely something he has to do. So I think for the first 2 points he will go for this white god from the offering. The offering here is immediately revealed, and this is perfect because now he has also the god card, task tile that says you have to show 2 of green gods. So I think this is perfect. So with his remaining 2 points, he will go for this green god here, and we of course also have to replace that immediately. And this already ends the helper action from the green player, but this will bring him in a pretty good position, so he can now really complete more or less both of these task tiles here. That's perfect. So red will also go for helper action and will place his die with the number 3 on that action tile. For his first 2 points he will draw just the top card and is really hoping for a yellow god, and yeah, he is lucky. That's great. So he can take the yellow god, and with the remaining point he will move down her to collect 3 shells, which he would put into his reserve. Green again goes for a temple action and is just placing his 1 die here, so he's allowed to place his last priest into the temple, and of course he can now claim the fire bonus once more. And for his first action he's going for another white god card, and for the second bonus I think he might just move on the status track. Yeah, let's do that. So put him on the position 1 here, and right now he might be the starting player in the next turn. With his last die, he's going for a man action or a woman action. Let's see. He will take this man tile, which he will place here onto his player board. That was the last action die for the red player. Let's see what green can do. I think with the last die he's doing another helper action. He will move down this shell collecting woman over here, and this gives him 3 additional shells for later shopping of some jewelry. Okay, these were all the action dice for both players. Now let's see what we can do in phase B, and again red will start this, and I think he will do the same that he did last turn. So for once he will collect 1 resource here, so he will activate this man and he will go for 1 stone over here, and for a second, or basically for a woman tile, he will activate this building action here, and he still has 1 building that's left, with that's at least up to a number 3, so you see that's number 1, and he will build this hut onto his ceremony space over here. And this time I will try to not forget to give him both bonuses for building that hut. I think for his first bonus he will grab himself a god. This is very important. It's a blue god, and that's really useful in a later stage of a game. And for his second bonus he will advance once more on the status track. So bring him up here. So again, he might be the starting player again. And of course this would allow him to go for a victory point. And now let's see what green will do. So he will activate this man tile over here, and this allows him to draw a woman token that has a value up to, or in the position up to 3, and I went for this one, so put her on his in this village. And for a woman tile he will activate this one here, because he cannot activate this one, unfortunately does not have the proper resources on his ceremony space here. And I also checked that he cannot do an expand action because there's nothing adjacent, so there's no path he can take at this point in time. So let's just give him 2 additional victory points. So that's 1 and 2. And this should conclude the phase B of this turn. And now let's resolve phase C. Again, both players will gain a victory point. We will put that back to 0. Red will remain the starting player. That's 1 and 1. And let's get over to the temple. So still red only gains 2 victory points, whereas green now, wow, not too bad, gets 8 victory points. Remember, we are still in this phase, or in the 4th round, and this is 2 victory points for each priest in the temple. So that's 1 and 2 for red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 for green. Not too bad. So let's do some shopping for red, and red definitely wants to have this special jewelry over here. So he pays 4 of these shells, and he's allowed to take this treasure into his position. So let's bring that down here. And I think green will go for this tile because it brings him a lot of victory points. He will pay 3 of the shells, and we place this tile here as well. Okay, now the final stage should be to resolve the task tiles. So I think he will try to complete this task tile. At this point in time he only has 2 of his huts close to these fishing type, and that's here and here. So once more he pays an offering to worship the yellow god, and with that he can complete this tile over here. So this is completed, and as this is done with the help of the yellow god, this will only give him 4 victory points. 1, 2, 3 and 4. For green it's simple, he can fulfill really every of these cards, so he will go for this tile here, because then he is free later on to yeah, more or less discard or use these cards in a later turn of the game. So let's just put that here on the completed pile, and this will give him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 additional victory point. Nice. Okay, I think red might go for this task tile over here, because he already has 2 different jewelry in his possession. So let's put that here. And I think green will go for this tile, because he already activated 2, but I think this is something he can achieve in a later phase of the game. Let's just put that here. Okay, this was also phase C. I will now restock everything in respect to jewelry, task tiles and man-woman tiles, and then I will do another turn in Bora Bora. So these are the new task tiles. So these are apparently 2 jewelry tokens. This says you have to have 4 huts on your 12th field in your village, and this says you have to have 2 of these man or woman tile on your player board, and I think this might be possible for the green player, not so sure. Yeah, but nevertheless, let's get over to the dice. Red still being the starting player, and yeah, let's see what we roll here. So let's roll our dice. Wow. Again, an interesting roll, I have to admit. Yeah, let's see how red might start turn 5. Okay, I think red will start with a helper action, and he will put his 6th die on this field. For his first 2, he will move this hut down to field number 12 on his player board, so he has to free up some spots over here. With I think the next 2, he will go for some wood, and I think with the remaining he will go for maybe some sand here. This will bring him in a good position later on to build his ceremony space, or in a building in the ceremony space. Yeah, I think this concludes now the first action die for red. Let's see what green will do. Red is using his 3 die to do an expand action, and with that he will expand here to this field, so this will gain him 1 stone, which he will place onto his ceremony space over here. So this is also a good position for him to build in a later turn. He really has loads of gods cards. The problem is he does not have a red god card, so he is not allowed to score any other fishing ground with his expand action, but I think this is not too bad at this point in time. Red will put his 2nd die with the number 6 on a man-woman action, and he will go for this woman over here, I guess, which he will just place into his village for later usage. I think green will expand 1 more time, therefore he needs to pray to the blue god, pay an offering, and then he's allowed to place that die on this field, and he will expand down here, which will bring him 1 wood, and he places that wood also onto his ceremony space. Okay, red is going for this additional helper action over here. So with this first point he will move the shell collector down, and therefore he gains himself 4 shells, and he really needs that to get the jewelry. And I think for the remaining 2 actions he will just bring, no, no, that's wrong. No, I think he will go for another resource, and he will just use this, or take this wood tile onto his ceremony space, so he's now down to 0. And this was already the last action die for the red player in this turn. Green will do a building action with his 2 die, and this allows him to take this hut over here. You build that here on this ceremony space as well. And now we gain now 4 victory points for building that hut, because we are already in round 5. 1, 2, 3 and 4, not so many. And of course we would still be allowed to go for a fire bonus. The first fire bonus will be an offering. He really might need that later on. And I think for a second fire bonus he will just advance on the status track. So he would be here. Okay, this was already phase A again in this turn 5, so let's see how red might resolve phase B. And I think he will activate those 2 types. So for once he would pick himself a, I think maybe a sand. And for this he will be allowed to move this hut here down to space 12 on his village, and of course he has a plan for that. So this was the phase B for red. Let's see what green might be doing. For his first type he will activate her, the builder, so she can now build this hut here as well. Oops. So again we would be allowed to gain 4 victory points. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And of course again we can claim ourselves a fire bonus. Again I will go for an offering, and for the second bonus I will go for a shell, which really might come in handy, but I still have one more type to activate, and this would be this man tile here, and this allows me to take a woman tile from the spaces 1, 2 or 3, and I decided to go for that woman tile over here. Nice. Okay, this was also phase B, and yeah, let's see how we are doing in phase C. This time only green advanced on the status track here, so he would be allowed to gain 1 victory point and would be the starting player again. So let's quickly do that. Yeah, that's really quick, it's only 1. Again, we would have to give some victory points to the priest in the temple, and in this round this will be 3 victory points for each priest, so red would get 3 victory points, 1, 2 and 3, whereas green gains himself 12 victory points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, not a chance for red. Additionally, we have to go for the majority, and I believe we forgot that in the last turn. So I will give now the 2 god tiles to green, because in both cases he had the majority in the temple. So there should only be 1 left. Yeah, that's right. And I think that's it for the temple phase. Now let's go for some buying. Unfortunately, green does not have enough money or shells, so he would not be allowed to purchase anything. Remember, he's now the starting player, so he could decide first, but red still can go for one of this jewelry tile, and I think he will go for that one. So he has to pay now 5 different 5 shells. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think in the last turn I also cheated for red, because I only paid 4 for this jewelry here, but he has still 1 shell left, so we pay that now, some kind of a credit, so he would now be allowed to claim this jewelry as well. Let's quickly remove those remaining jewelry tiles. And now let's resolve the step 4 in this phase, and this is the task tile completion. And yet not a problem for green, so he would just complete this one. He has 2 god tarts here. This will give him additional 6 victory points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 85. Not too bad. And let's see what red can complete. And this time he can complete this one here. So he had these 2, even though he cheated in the last turn, but we cleared that, so he would also be allowed to flip that. And this would now give him the full 6 victory points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now let's see what task tiles they will pick from the offering here. And this is now really tough, because green, I think, might be tough for him to do that. But I think he will go for that, because this is most likely that he might be able to gain this one. And of course, that's really a pest for the red player, because he already prepared to that. So let's take that and put that here. And I think the second most likely is this one, because you can only buy 1 jewelry in a round, so there's no chance that he can complete either of those. So he will go for this one. And it's really tough sometimes if you're not the starting player, especially when collecting these task tiles. So then let's put that here on this spot, and I think that should be it. Yeah, these were all the phases. I will now do the last preparation, so restock the task tiles. I will also restock the man and woman tiles, and I think then I will call it a day. So these are the new and last task tiles. And I think this more or less solves it. I think there will be still one last round after this 6th round is done. So these, again, you have to have 2 of those man or woman tile on your space, then 3 huts in this area, 3 huts in this area, and again 2 man or woman tiles of this kind in your village. Okay, this concludes my gameplay for today. So today you saw round 4 and 5. Next time I will do the final round 6 and also the final scoring. So hope you stay tuned and hope to see you soon. Hope you enjoyed it, and until then, bye bye.